Protection against COVID-19 from the AstraZeneca and Pfizer vaccines begins to wane after just 6 months, a British study has found. The study, which was based on data from more than 1 million people who have been double jabbed, found that the Pfizer vaccine fell to 74% after 6 months, while AstraZeneca's vaccine effectiveness was down to 67%. So could this mean booster vaccines will be a necessity? Lawrence Young is a virologist from Warwick Medical School. He joins us now live. Thank you very much indeed for coming back onto the programme. So this new UK study shows this waning of effectiveness of vaccines against infection after just a few months. Was this expected?
It was. We were already getting hints about this from other studies in the US and in Israel, and it comes as no surprise. It was inevitable that vaccine protection would start to tail off over time, and sadly, that's what we're beginning to see.
So the UK government is considering booster jabs, at least for the most vulnerable in the autumn and the winter. How likely is it that everyone will end up getting boosters at some point?
I think the game has changed a lot because of the widespread nature of infection from the Delta variant, which is more infectious. And that's changed the way we need to think about things. And I suspect that we will have to have booster jabs, particularly for the over 60s and the most vulnerable, because that would not only give them that extra booster protection, more importantly, it would give more protection against that more infectious Delta variant. And it's worth just looking at what other countries, particularly Israel, are doing. They've started a booster vaccination program in the over 60s only about 3 weeks ago and are already seeing the benefits of doing that.
And given that most of the world is yet to get first vaccines, would giving people third jabs, somewhere like in the UK, be justified?
This is a big issue, isn't it, where we're concerned about the rest of the world and about vaccine supplies and manufacture. It's worth just reflecting that currently 33% of the world population have received 1 dose of vaccine and about 25% are fully vaccinated. But the frightening thing, the frightening statistic, is only 1.4% of people in low-income countries have received at least 1 dose. Now, we do need more doses. Of course we do. We need more different vaccines and more manufacture. The issue is, will these booster shots really impact on the worldwide demand for vaccines? Is not boosting in a country like the UK or the US really going to affect that? It's something we have to think about, and it's something I know the World Health Organization are critical of. It can only be solved by making sure we make and supply more vaccines.
And what do we know about people who've had COVID, who are recovering from COVID, how long they have protection for? Does their immunity decrease as rapidly?
Yeah, it looks like it does. I mean, it looks like it's between 6 and 8 months where you get a reduction in immunity after you've been infected. I mean, because what we don't know is if you've been infected and then you've been vaccinated, are you better protected? All of this will come out in the wash, and it's very likely, actually, that if you have had a COVID infection and then have subsequently undergone vaccination, you will have a better immune response. But when it comes to booster vaccines, it's going to be difficult to start measuring immunity in everybody. It's going to have to be everybody over 60, irrespective of whether you've had COVID followed by vaccination.
A study last week from Oxford showed that the Pfizer vaccine was 90% effective against symptomatic infection of the Delta variants. AstraZeneca was 70% effective, but it held up better than Pfizer. Would it benefit populations to receive boosters from different vaccines to their first 2 shots?
That's a really good question. We know for many vaccines that if you mix and match, if you essentially expose your immune system to the same type of bit of the virus, but in a different way, the immune system likes that and responds differently. And there's already data showing the effectiveness of mixing and matching, say, the AstraZeneca with Pfizer. So what's really likely, and would be a really important thing to do, actually, is to give those folks who have had double jabs with AstraZeneca a booster with Pfizer, and indeed vice versa. That would, I think, give a very strong immune response that would protect against symptomatic disease with the Delta variant.
Lawrence Young from Warwick Medical School, thank you very much. Good to talk.